just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
Oh my god! Help!
Shark movies are, for the most part, absolutely terrible, but that doesn't stop me completely loving them. Of course, the best of the bunch is undeniably Steven Spielberg's genre-defining Jaws, which pretty much invented the summer blockbuster as we know it. Maneater by Tripwire Interactive and Deep Silver allows you to live out your shark fantasies, and while I'm sure that's not something most people can really get behind, there's still a hell of a lot of fun to be had. Maneater is an open-world RPG, or rather, Shark PG, as the game describes itself, which puts you in control of one of the planet's most dangerous predators. It soaks this dry patch of big releases in gallons of bloody chum, and it's the best animal simulator I've played since Echo the Dolphin, though it certainly has its fair share of problems. It is always satisfying to breach through the surface of the water, snapping up an unsuspecting swimmer before plunging them down to the depths as you rip them apart and taint the water with that iconic scarlet hue. After starting out as an adult bull shark, you are cast back into the water as a small 1 meter baby shark. Now that song will be in your head for days, and I'm not even sorry. You must suffer just as I have. Much like Jaws himself, it's just unstoppable. From there, you eat and consume all you can to grow bigger and bigger with each level up until you are a monstrous mega shark with a bigger smile than Melina. That's basically all the story you need for a game about a man-eating shark. A hunter by the name of Scaly Pete kills your mother in the opening section and sends you back to sea with a scar down your side. This man-eater, however, has clearly watched Jaws the Revenge and now makes it her mission to find Scaly Pete and finish what her mama started. Channeling his inner Cajun that will never quite be as cool as Gambit, he's a fully voiced character in his mission to eliminate all sharks in his waters, and he has a particular vendetta against you. The story is told in the form of a very self-aware mockumentary about shark hunters in a similar vein to something like Duck Dynasty, and it absolutely knows how stupid it is. This is complete with some excellent narration by Chris Parnell, whose voice you may recognize from Rick and Morty's Jerry Smith or Archer's Cyril Figgis.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of Koch, and my name is
Cyril Figgis.
Cutscenes with Scaly Pete combined with Parnell's excellent narration make for a game that is acutely aware of exactly how silly it all is. Parnell narrates your actions from brutally devouring innocent beachgoers to discovering a new grotto. Grottos act as fast travel points and are where upgrades can be acquired. These upgrades are in the form of evolutions, which grant the Maneater passive effects like health boosts or improvements to your sonar. And yes, I'm aware that sharks can't actually use sonar, but so is the game, and it has fun with it, as the narrator himself even comments on it. He regularly comments on your violent deeds, like Carl Reese describing the Terminator.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are dead.
Since the game is an RPG, a shark PG, there is a sort of gear system where you acquire parts to modify your shark's performance. These evolutions take the sinister elegance of the shark and turn it into a monstrous prehistoric abomination that you'd expect to see in a Deep Blue Sea sequel. All of these evolutions come with gameplay effects such as increased damage or defense, which can be further upgraded with resources acquired by eating prey. Unfortunately, the only way to swap out or customize your evolutions is at a grotto, and it can't be done on the fly. Smaller creatures can be eaten outright, as each one has its own character level, meaning that those which are stronger than you may need to be left alone until you're bigger and have a few more rows of teeth.
Hello.
Different creatures yield different resources, and eating them also replenishes any health lost in combat. The developers themselves have described the combat as Shark Souls, with an emphasis on dodging and attacking at just the right moments. It involves biting and tail whipping other predators such as alligators, mako sharks, and orca whales, but also humans and hunters on boats. These hunters will eventually come after you if you cause too much havoc and kill too many humans. Similar to GTA's Wanted system, once the hunters are on you and you start doing more damage, the Wanted meter will increase. This is known as infamy in Maneater, and as it rises, tougher legendary hunters will come after you with better weapons, boats, and more followers. This means grabbing a quick bite down at the beach can suddenly end up with you on the menu, and the hunters can quickly overwhelm and overpower the Maneater. Killing these guys may be a challenge, but it grants you more resources and yields new mutations and evolutions, which will be to your benefit. Certain creatures are also legendary, and these pose the greatest challenge. Each episode of the Maneater TV show involves you tackling one of these monstrous and deformed variants of an existing creature. They don't have their own story beats or anything like that, but their designs evoke a lot about what their past may be. Take the orca, who lives outside of a flooded aquarium with a flopped dorsal fin, which is a clear dig at institutions like SeaWorld, or the colossal battle-worn white whale, which is most likely the same one that took on Captain Ahab in Moby Dick.
There's always a bigger fish.
It can, however, be difficult to keep track of your enemy as the game lacks a lock-on feature, and though you can snap the camera to a nearby enemy, it doesn't stick to them. However, the combat isn't anywhere near as brutal or punishing as anything by From Software, so don't let that put you off. Knifing through the water with your fin exposed feels as iconic as you'd expect, but it can be a pain during the more aggressive combat sequences. This issue is similar to one that plagues every single Spider-Man title or any game which involves transitioning from one method of movement to another. While knifing, you can't see below the water, meaning that if you accidentally go too high during a scrap, you leave yourself vulnerable to an unseen attack, which can get very frustrating, especially in the shallow environments or as you grow larger. Despite these transitional frustrations, the shark actually controls very well. I've disliked pretty much every water level in every game I've ever played, but Maneater manages to strike a comfortable balance between realistic movement and player control. This obviously means some liberties have been taken, such as the fact that sharks physically cannot stop swimming or they will die, but the game is more fun for it. The open world is filled with landmarks, many of which take the form of tongue-in-cheek movie references to everything from Titanic to Happy Gilmore to Waterworld. Despite all its whimsical affectations and cartoonish brutality, the game is flawed in many areas. As with many open world titles, it falls into the trap of not knowing what to do with its space. All of the missions in the story take the form of one of a handful of types: kill X amount of humans, kill X amount of this type of fish, kill a really big fish, or find the collectibles. This is rinsed and repeated through all the various regions of the game world, and while they all look different and have slightly varied wildlife, you're still doing the same stuff in each one. This makes the game very repetitive, and without a significant story to pull you through, it can be a slog. Fortunately, the game is very short, coming in at around 11 hours for my playthrough, with a reasonable amount of exploration. As such, the game isn't retailing at industry standard price, selling for lower than average at £34.99 on the UK PlayStation Store, though this will vary depending on where you buy from. However, despite it being very repetitive, if you can be entertained by ripping humans apart over and over again in truly brutal fashion, you'll be entertained for a very long time. The next few issues I'm about to discuss may be unique to the PS4 and may well be alleviated on PC, but there were more than a few technical issues that you do need to be aware of. Regular frame rate drops occur during high activity moments, but also during seemingly quieter moments. The Maneater itself is very well animated and captures the graceful terror of one of the planet's greatest predators, but the same can't be said for some of the other creatures or humans. Several times I spotted humans floating above the water or fought creatures caught up in geometry. The AI of the underwater creatures is serviceable since these things aren't exactly the most intelligent beasts on the planet. Your prey will swim away from you if you attack, and the more aggressive ones will snap at you if you get too close, but the humans are just plain stupid. If you hop out of the water to claim a victim from the shore, a bunch of these humans will run towards the danger, right into your domain, and effectively your jaws. This may well be an elaborate commentary on the idiocy of humanity and how we treat animals, which is something I'm sure most of us can get behind, but that doesn't stop it being absolutely hilarious, deliberate or otherwise. If anything, it all actually makes me feel less guilty about butchering these helpless little people.
No regrets.
The game opts for a semi-cartoony art style, which makes some of the visual quality a bit more forgivable, but it's certainly not the prettiest game in the world. However, it does still manage to capture the terrifying beauty of the shark itself and the raw power it possesses as you breach through the water with a fat guy in your jaws. On top of those issues, I also had 2 separate game crashes, but fortunately, I didn't lose much in the way of progress. Ultimately, the game is greatly flawed and definitely needed a bit more time in the oven, but it's absolutely saved by how fun being the shark is, and many of these issues can be resolved with patches over time. It's not the kind of experience that'll probably keep you going for 40 hours, but it's a fun little semi-indie game to sink your teeth into during this lull of big budget releases. The game is currently available for PS4, Xbox One, and PC via the Epic Games Store, and will be coming to Switch at a later date. Will you be checking out Maneater, or is something fishy going on here? Do you have any favourite shark movies? Let me know down in the comments. Obviously Jaws is the best one, but I really like The Shallows, apart from the ending, and Deep Blue Sea is exactly my kind of stupid. Kind of like Maneater, really.